when the world has got you down. And
Alzheimer's sucks. It's an equal opportunity disease that chips away at everything we hold dear. And to date, there's no cure. So until there is, we continue to fight with the most powerful tool in our arsenal, love. This is Love Conquers Alls, a real and really positive podcast that takes a deep dive into everything Alzheimer's, the good, the bad, and everything in between. And now, here are your hosts, Susie Singer-Carter and me, Don Priest.
Hello, I'm Susie Singer-Carter.
And I'm Don Priest, and this is Love Conquers Alls. Hello, Susan.
Hi, Donald. We're getting gremlins again, but it's okay. We're going to get through this because we have a great guest today.
We are.
I'm
We're
excited.
Pushing forward.
Yes.
I'm in my new,
Yeah.
a new room here.
You have new digs.
I need more. It's a little boring back here.
It is boring back there.
Yeah,
we'll have to
maybe
zhuzh you up back there, but it doesn't matter
Yeah.
because you're so dynamic. So who cares? And look at your
is
hair.
True. I know it's very.
It's very Michael Douglas today.
Is it? Oh, good. I thought I looked like I thought I looked like a televangelist or something. I don't know.
That too. It's kind of a hybrid. So I hope everyone's doing good. I just want to do a quick shout out before we get into our world of caregiving because you know how we get so deep into it. We forget to do any of our plugs. But I just wanted to remind everybody that there's a whole season of fun with our other podcast, which is I Love Lucifer, the podcast, which is comedy, horror, and it's female driven. It's girl power, and it's super funny. And Adam Levy from The Witcher, and which is on Netflix, and then also HBO's Industry is a phenomenal actor. He's British, hello, and he is so good in it. You'll just love it, and it's just a great ride. And we've been nominated for 7 Audioverse Awards, so we're really, really stoked about that. And hopefully by the next time we talk to you, we'll have had something exciting to say. Let's hope, because my gosh,
at least 7 awards. That's all we can hope for. Just 7.
That's good to me.
Yeah.
So it's available everywhere on all your favorite podcast platforms. I Love Lucifer, the podcast. Check it out. If you like it, rate, review, share with people that are, podcast aficionados. And it's a yes. drama. It's fully cast, and it's got
it's a comedy
an epic
drama.
Yeah, it's comedy drama. And it's got an epic sound design. Thanks to this gentleman here with the salt or what do you call your hair? Silver blonde?
Yeah, silver blonde. Yeah. And listen for this young lady as one of the leads. She plays one of the leads in it, and she's absolutely spectacular. So yeah.
Thank you.
We love us. We really do love ourselves.
If we don't, who will? I don't know.
But we also love our guests. We do love our guests. We have an amazing guest today.
Before you start in with all her wonderful accolades and background about this woman, I've just been following her again, as always. Like what I do, how I meet people now these days is on Instagram and on Twitter. And this woman's first of all, she's adorable, and she's got such a great aura about her, like very sweet and gentle and loving, and all of her posts are just wonderful, and she's just really tapped into the community of caregiving, and I'm very proud to have her on our show. Take it away, Dawn.
Today's guest is Elizabeth Miller, and Elizabeth Miller is the founder and community content manager for Happy Healthy Caregiver, a lifestyle website, podcast, and consulting business that helps family caregivers create time for what they love and find time for their own self-care while juggling the responsibilities of caregiving. A certified caregiving consultant, she is the author of Just For You, a daily self-care journal. She is the leader of Atlanta Daughterhood Circle, a support group for family caregivers, and a National Caregiving Conference presenter and keynote speaker for dozens of employers, organizations, and caregiver appreciation events. Suffice it to say, Elizabeth Miller knows a little something about caregiving, and we can't wait to find out more. So let's say welcome to Elizabeth Miller. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hey, Dawn and Susie. So great to be here and meet you all in person.
It's so great to meet you, and what a force you are in this community, and I'm just wowed by everything you've done, your TED Talks, and your just everything.
Thank
You're
you.
just really a force. Yeah, and I love your philosophy about taking care of yourself and the person you're taking care of, which is so important, and we forget that, and it's
We had to learn it the hard way, right?
Yep, 100%. Yeah. Elizabeth, I was going to tell you, it's just so, how the universe works. I'm looking at my phone because I got a text message from a lovely woman, a good friend of mine, who's going through the last stages of dementia with her mother, and they're, they have a different culture, and so the cultural differences also, play into that. And she's telling me, she's asking me, did your mom get agitated and horribly, aggressive, and it's so hard, and this is a woman that could show run 3 shows at one time. She's a force, and she is just literally it's just so much energy for her, and she said, I'm just at my wit's end. And I said, you have to take care of yourself. You have to. If you can't feel guilty. You have to take care of yourself. So you're the perfect guest for my friend Sudie, who needs to hear everything that you've got to say.
Well, yes. If you have to take care of yourself, and what we try to do, and what I try to do is, I wanted to know what that looked like. What does that look like? I know I should do this, but how? What does it look like when you're in the midst of a caregiving life and juggling all kinds of things, work and kids and whatnot? So it's trying on a lot of things and seeing what works.
Absolutely. So, well, why don't you let's back up a little bit and just give us a little bit of your background. How did you end up being smack dab in the middle of all this? What brought you here?
Well, probably like most people, not by choice, right? You just kind of, for me though, I saw it coming as a mudslide. I had 2 parents with chronic health conditions. I affectionately called them a cocktail of different health conditions. They had heart disease and diabetes and sleep apnea, morbidly obese, mobility issues, I could keep going, right? Different autoimmune diseases. And I was learning about caregiving, and I was overwhelmed and frustrated. I was the peak of my career. My husband as well. His mom had lung cancer at the same time. So we were drowning and found ourselves in the midst of the sandwich generation, caring for our active kids, wanting to be, in that life, and then having all of these pressing demands. And like most people, I am a positive person by nature. I want to figure it out. I was ready to roll up my sleeves and dig in. I didn't even know what I was called. I started looking for books. I'm an avid reader, but I didn't have a lot of time to read them, and didn't find a lot of books that I didn't even know what I was searching for. So I have always found writing to be a cathartic part in my life. And so I started blogging and writing, and then layering on some of these other things to help me in the process of hopefully helping other people. And I created something which I wish existed for me, over 7 years ago when I was looking.
That's what I hear all the time. That's what I hear. I say it too, that I'm creating something that I wish I could have had then. And so how did you find time? You talk about blogging, and I'm a big multitasker, and I try to do everything, but I'm also a writer. How do you find time? How did you find time during that time to write and blog and really pay attention to that? Because I wonder if people have that, overwhelming sort of I can't do anything. How could I sit down and blog?
Yeah, I had no business doing it, frankly. Starting a business during all of this, I had no business. And I'd be lying if I didn't say, a couple times a month, I would say, I'm just going to phone it in at my day job. What am I doing here? But, part of it was I wanted to create something so that I could get out of my day job and have more flexibility to care for my mom. You ask how I found the time. I actually like to change the verb to creating the time, because you're not going to find the time. Nobody's going to find time for the things that they want to do. And that is something that I coach people on, because it requires a very focused intention to make it happen. So I am a very pragmatic person. I laid out kind of everything that I had on my plate tried to figure out, what I could give up, and say no to, tried to figure out where I could get more help, and seeking these little nuggets of time where I knew that if I could fuel myself, I would have more of the energy and peace of mind to kind of sustain this difficult journey of caregiving. So I carved it out. I scheduled it on my calendar. And when I was working full time, what ended up working for my writing time, I like to write in the morning. And so I would get up early. Less people need your attention at 5, 6 a.m. in the morning. And so I would get up, I would go to Starbucks. I would look forward, a couple times a week on my Wednesdays and Fridays. I would see the same people there, creating my own little Starbucks community. And I called it Happy Healthy Time. And my kids and my husband would even ask me about it. It was on the family calendar. Hey, how was your Happy Healthy Time this morning? What did you do? And it sustained me, and it just helped me process everything that was going on in real time with caregiving. And, I didn't have any demands. It wasn't like anybody was paying me to write or do anything. So I could just, if it didn't happen, it didn't happen, because life is messy.
And when you're in the middle of something like that, gaining perspective is really difficult, isn't it? To like kind of say, where in my life, it's coming up with priorities, and you're also a caregiver for your children and for your husband. It's like, how do you gain perspective and say, how do you compartmentalize and know exactly what to do? Or was that you just figured it out as you went?
Well, it didn't. Yeah, it was and I'm still figuring it out, frankly. Like, we're all figuring it out. I just knew what I was doing wasn't working, and I didn't like who I was looking at in the mirror, and I thought, this has got to be different. And then again, like, I had this 40-hour week job. I wanted flexibility, and of course, I was dreaming of being this overnight online success. Well, it's over 6 years later. I have just resigned from my corporate job this past May, and I gave myself a huge pay cut at that too. So, but it's you get to this point where it's like, okay, let's leap and see what happens here. Right. But it was intentional. It was like you said, Dawn, just let me try on this thing. And I would learn things from people. And the writing was a big part of my self-care. But I also, in the beginning, it was very physical, which I think a lot of caregivers, you think about the physical self-care right away. I need to eat better. I need to sleep better. I need to exercise. And that was it for me too. Like, I was very intense in this physical self-care journey. But then over the years, I'm thinking, no, caregiving self-care is different. It's about, asking for help and receiving help is self-care, managing expectations and setting boundaries and helping my loved one advocate for themselves and my kids be independent. Like, that's self-care, because that's going to give me more time, more breathing space and white space in my life. So it's, I look at, now I have like 8 categories of self-care. It's professional, it's social, it's spiritual, emotional, practical, financial, physical. I'm sure I'm missing some, but there's, there are a lot of spokes to that self-care wheel.
I love this. I needed you then. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Because I was going through a divorce when my mom was diagnosed, and my stepfather passed away, her best friend, who also had they both were a cocktail as well. So, yeah. And so when there was so much, and I had a 16-year-old daughter who, I was moving, brought my mom into my place, and I literally was just like and trying to pretend like everything was great, like I wasn't going to change at all, like I was going to keep my sunny personality, and I figured, sleep, who needs sleep? I went so many nights without sleep, and I started wondering why I was gaining weight, because I'd never really gained weight before, and I was like, oh, so when you don't sleep and you're under stress, your cortisol goes psh.
Yes.
And and I was not a healthy girl. I was, but I thought I could do it all, and you really can't. You really can't. So you really have to prioritize.
And trust me, I mean, when I look back on it, there it is not a perfect picture. There are lots of tears involved, and panic attacks, my anxiety was through the roof. I had to take care of my own health. I have hypothyroidism and generalized anxiety, and those were, all, so it was partly, getting support, medication, all of that is part of it. And just figuring it out. But that's why I keep saying, like, trying it on, because I would be fat. It was almost like this journey of self-discovery too, because, I'd hear people say, oh, well, aromatherapy is helping me, or meditation. And I thought, well, let me try that. Like, I'm desperate here, people. Let me try anything to see if this will work for me. So try it on. Sometimes it fit, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes I had to kind of keep at it. And if it didn't work for me, then I discarded it. But it might work for someone else too. So I might still share about that. And, there's also time in your life for Netflix and Hulu to be self-care. So you need it all.
Yeah.
It's and really getting in tune with my emotions, which was not easy, and it's still not easy, frankly. Like, that's the part that I think is the one I struggle with the most.
So this is a really big part of caregiving is the guilt factor. That when you do care for yourself, where you do want to just stop and watch Netflix for an hour, or maybe go out to dinner or something, you feel guilty. You think that people are judging you because why aren't you there caregiving? Just really, how do you get around that? Or do you ever? I
mean, you manage it. I think you name the feeling, I'm feeling guilty. Sometimes guilt can be a good thing, right? You want to be the person that's going to show up for other people. But sometimes it is unfounded. And I know for me, I had to, I said, I refuse to take the guilt trip. I deserve this. I need this. I know I'm going to show up as a better caregiver when I put some fuel in my body and really energize myself, that I'm going to not lose my patience. I'm not going to be resentful. And so now I tell people, and I tell myself, like, when the big G word comes up of guilt, replace it with another G word, which is grace, and just give yourself some freaking grace, because I
love that.
It's hard.
I love that. I have 2 daughters, and I still deal with the G word, because my mom's at a assisted living, and as you know, like during this COVID, it's been so hard. That they don't make it easy on you to go and stay in connection with your parent or your loved one.
No.
And Zoom does not cut it very well with someone with dementia and the later stages of dementia. It's really difficult, although I do it every week. But I feel guilt now that they've opened it up and you can make appointments to see your parent or your loved one, and I will feel guilty if I don't go sometimes, and my daughters have to give me a reality check and say, Mom, it's okay. You can skip it's okay.
You're one person. You're one,
yeah.
and then sometimes we'll talk through that thing too. It's like, well, what would make you feel less guilty? Well, why do you feel guilty? Well, I feel guilty because my mom or my dad is all alone in this facility, and I'm just picturing them sitting there, and well, what could be true instead of you being the one that always go there? What else could be? Maybe you can set up a schedule where, 5 days a week, 7 days a week, you've got cousins and aunts and uncles and siblings and neighbors, and who else might want to be a part of that? And if you could kind of spread out that love, then that there's a touch point with your mom every day. And what does that feel like for you to do that? And people are glad to do it.
That's such a great idea. Because I have a very small nuclear family, and so, but it's interesting because through my film, and I've met so many people that have asked me, can I come and meet your mom? And can I visit her? And can I give her a hug? And right, Dawn, like straight, like people I don't even know, I've met them, and I always say, oh my gosh!
And some
yes,
have before COVID. Some did.
They did.
Yeah.
And
I mean, now it's
would
just
imagine
harder
that if you
because
reach
you
out,
have.
yeah, I imagine if you reach out to people, then just like said, is there, because it is a gift to yourself too, because you do feel so good when you leave, right?
Yes,
you really do.
Yes, you do. You want to know that they're okay. Another idea to address the loneliness is, and the companionship, other than phone calls, is I had a peer influencer of ours in the caregiving space. She has an Amazon wish list for her loved one, and they will just get like little packages in the mail. Like, how cool is that? Just like some little, maybe a little paint, something that's, dementia friendly, of course.
Right.
But what a neat thing to have this wish list of things that your loved one would enjoy, and that other people could be a part of that, and it makes them feel good. That's
so great. I love that so much. So you put together, it's almost like a your like a wedding registry or something.
Yes.
So right. So you
Yeah.
register for all these. That is beautiful. That's
Yes.
so awesome.
Played, like I know I don't know if my mom had dementia, because at one point, what was the point? She was bedridden, last 2 years of hospice, but definitely a lot of cognitive issues. We never, went through the testing with her, but she had a lot of adventures, I call them. And, we would have some, you have to kind of pivot and figure out like, what can mom and I do together now? And she always loved her coffee. We would have coffee together, but we would play Play-Doh. Sometimes I would send her a healthy snack box, and we would do like over the call, we would do a little unboxing of, mom, what's in your snack box? And she didn't like all of them, but she would keep them aside. And then when people would come visit, her hospice workers or people that filled in for my sister was the full-time caregiver at that point. It's just a nice little thing. So it takes a lot of creativity in caregiving. You just are constantly problem solving, and a lot of marketable skills there for people.
Yes, a lot of trial and error. I spent a lot of time, because we're filmmakers, so I put together this whole, like, a video of my mom's favorite songs, and I edited together like all these like memories and things for her to put into a frame. Those frames that are, and I
Yes.
found one that was motion sensitive, so it would turn on from motion. And because my mom is at the stage, she wouldn't even know how to turn it on. And I realized you can't really depend on, the caregivers are busy. And as much as they want to do everything, they can't. So, but, I realized that, as much as I put a lot of time and effort into that, it doesn't go on all the time, and you have to remind people, and can you make sure it's plugged in, and it's so you have to try to find things that are easy, and it doesn't put any responsibility on other people, but it is a trial and error, and especially for people that are at that stage that can't do anything for themselves. So. Do you have any advice for that stage? Only because I'm being selfish and asking.
You mean cognitively or physically or both? Because
just
both.
Yeah,
both in this
both.
case.
Yeah.
I mean,
how can we stay in touch with them? How can we keep them? Like, we don't know what they're thinking. We don't know what they're feeling. But I know that when I connect with my mom, I can get her to say, if I can get her to say, I love you, or gosh, damn it, you're pretty. I'm like, I did it. Ta-da! Superstar. I got a response,
Yeah, I think just keep trying different things that would work. I know my mom, again, was bedridden, so mobility challenged and cognitive, and then she started losing her eyesight because like reading was a big thing for her, and then that disappeared. For us, music was a big way that we engaged with her. She loved those dang Righteous Brothers, and to the point that I don't like them anymore. So it's like, but sending the boxes, doing the FaceTime calls, and it used to crack me up because she could never get her whole face in the, I'd get little snippets of her face.
Or up the nose.
Yes,
yeah.
or mom, your napkin or your hand is over it, or, something. But, just play like little games together, finish the sentence or name that tune, or just in ways that you can engage. Particularly for me, it was long distance mostly at that point. At that point I was going up quarterly to help relieve my sister and give her some support. Again, managing those expectations and talking to family members to see when we could all go together. I'm trying to think. We did play play games. Moms were, before she was losing the eyesight, you know, but even it's like going back to some of the games that even I used to play with my kids, like Connect 4.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't get it right all the time. And you just roll with it. You're like, let's make a pattern with it. Let's put all the red here. Let's, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, perfect.
No.
And Play-Doh was another thing. So there was, you know, we had our things that we would try to do together.
Right.
It's being in tune with, you know, because you can get advice from people, you know, and these are things you can do, but really being in tune with who they are or who they were, you know, and really relating back to the things in their past that you can maybe tap into. You know, when you talk about playing games, maybe it's a game that you played when you were a kid. Maybe she played with you. You know, things that really relate to them. That maybe. You know what? Maybe. I don't know. You know, if you played cribbage with each other when you were a kid, whatever. It's just and really being in tune with, like you say, the music they love,
yes.
the you know the memories that they can hopefully tap into, as opposed to just saying, "Oh, I will do this because I read that somewhere."
Right.
It's really, you know, taking that information and making it personal.
Also being cognitive of what stage they're at and what skills they have.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and I think, you know, I wonder if you hear this from some people that you talk to, that for me, I had to realize that, you know, my mom was such a pistol and so classy and, you know, smart and, you know, would never want to be living like this, like how she says. I'm putting air quotes around it. And then I would feel, part of me was like, my mom would hate this. And then I realized, but that's not my mom anymore. This is my mom.
Right.
And this is what's good for her now. And it's not disrespectful. It is respectful to connect with her at the stage and level that she can connect. And if it's just looking at her and singing the same songs over and over, my mom was a singer. So I have her songs, you know, that were recorded, her recordings, and we go ad nauseum. Like I don't want to hear Gershwin anymore, okay? But, you know, we do it, and it makes her happy. I know it does.
Yes. Even when mom couldn't read anymore, we would still talk about books. You know, I would tell her what I was reading. You know, and we would talk through the plot lines or some of her favorite books. We would rehash some of those, or, you know, I'd my mom was an author, and she wrote children's books. And so we would read her book to her. You know, and then just like you said, and then Wade, we memorialized her too on that topic. We, wanted to do something physical. And so we created a little free library in our, my parents lived in Michigan and off a little small lake. And so we have a little free library in mom's memory that is so fun, where we put her books in there, and then the community has it. And we talked about that. We told her, we said, we're going to do this for you. And isn't this going to be great? Like, we're going to, you know, keep this reading alive in this community. And so, yes, I think.
What did she say when
she
you told
loved
her
it?
that?
She loved it.
Oh, because I did. It's so funny because my mom, differently, my mom has dementia. So when I told her about the film, and I said, Mom, you know, every time I'd go to see her, I'd say, so, you know, the film, everyone's loving it, and you're like, you're famous. And she'd go, why? And I'd go, because you're fantastic. And she'd go, that's true.
Yes. I mean, but sometimes I would think, like, she would say things about old boyfriends or, you know, their relationship with her husband. And I'm like, I'm always thinking, like, what am I going to say if this were to happen to me? Like, you know, am I going to be bringing up these old romances from the past? And sometimes she'd want to follow through with them. And, you know, let's call them. Geez, you know, it's, you get in some sticky situations.
Redirect.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, let's do it tomorrow. Yeah, we'll get right on that tomorrow. Yeah, we'll see.
Left him a message.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. Therapeutic fibbing, right? Is that what you call it?
Yes. I just call it a lie.
Yeah, just lie.
Lies of love, though, right? Like, you're doing it out of love.
Call it a love lie. It's a love lie.
Exactly. You know, my mom would see dead people all the time, and, you know, she'd talk about my dad, my aunt, you know, hey, I remember one time she'd say, let's hey, we're going to pick up some pizza. We'll be right back in 10 minutes, Mom. She's like, okay, take Nancy. Nancy's been dead for 10 years, but great idea. We're going to take her with us. She needs to get out of the house. So
Yeah.
just go with it.
But that's leaning in. That's not, because if you push against it, it's going to cause confusion and agitation, and there's no reason to do it. Really no reason.
Yeah, but we learn that, you know, when it first all hits us, we don't know anything about it. You know, how many times I said to my mom, you know, I've told you that 100 times, you know, and it's like, and Dawn knows this, like when we were looking back at when we put some outtakes in our credit crawl from our film, and, you know, I wanted to be honest, and just so people could see really, you know, that we were really being honest in the film. And I had like, so Mom, what day is it? What year? And my mom would go, I don't know, you know, and I think, oh my God, I hate me. Why was I asking her that? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. But at the time I was doing it because I love her so much, and I wanted to like keep her sharp. I thought I could keep her sharp, you know, and I couldn't.
And teach her, you'll teach her out of it.
Yes.
You'll give her all the information so she'll know now, and it doesn't.
Yes.
work.
I kept
It
telling her,
doesn't
Mom,
happen
you have
that way.
Alzheimer's. But I got your back. We're gonna beat this. We're gonna.
Yeah, if they had a broken arm, you wouldn't expect them to, you know, write with their right if they're right-handed, and so somehow we have to kind of get to that point in our caregiving journey where like, oh, this is similar to that. Like, I can't expect them to do this because they're not capable. But yet they are capable of doing these new things, you know, some amazing stories, right? Of like people who've developed an art, beautiful artistic qualities in their dementia journey. And I love those kinds of things that, you know, to grasp hold of those because, it's almost like they're a little kid again, maybe in some ways, and so they're exploring their childhood passions. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, don't get bored with it, Audie.
Yeah.
I was going to say, don't get bored if you've heard this a million times, but I liken it to Benjamin Button. Like, I think that their journey is very Benjamin Button, and so if you frame it like that, then you can go with it peacefully because you go, because my daughter had a baby who's now almost 2. And so, and they, for the first year of her life, which was all COVID, she hadn't met my mom in person. So they were like Zooming with us every week. And, you know, I watched them cross like that, you know.
My dad was a really excellent artist. He was tremendous. He was amazing, but he stopped doing art, you know, probably hadn't drawn anything for 20 years. And he had dementia towards the end. And all of a sudden he started drawing again. Now, it wasn't good. It looked like a child had done it, but he was doing it again. He was and it was fine. And so it was, you know, you looked at it and you go, that's beautiful because, you know, he's doing that. Something came back. So it's just like, they may find things that they'd never done or find things they haven't done forever, and just and encourage that. Open the opportunity for them if they did something and say, hey, would you want to do this again? And they might, you know, they might. So. And
by the way, they might not too.
Yeah.
So you know,
and they might not, and it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
They might not, and you might go, God, you know, because I've tried that. I tried to take my mom when she was living with me to a choir because my mom has got a gorgeous voice, right? And I took her there, and she's like, what is going on? Why am I here? Like, I don't want to be singing with these people. And I said, but Mom, this is awesome. This is so good. You're such a good, let's go. Come on. She did not want to be there.
It's so frustrating. Because, you know, and with your mom being in a facility, and my mom was in assisted living for a while too. And, you know, we picked these amazing places, right? They've got all these amenities, and they have a saltwater pool and senior aerobics and bingo and movies. And I couldn't even barely get her to go to the dining hall. It was a struggle to just go down and eat her meals. And she didn't like it. And, you know, I thought, this is good for you. You got to move around. It's part of your therapy, your physical, you know, moving. But when they don't meet you halfway, it is very frustrating.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, they're adults and you can't make them do things.
That's right. That's right. So, yeah, like you said, trial and error, right? Trial and
So,
error.
so you created the Just for You, a daily self-care journal. So what is that? Tell us a little bit about that, and how does that help?
So I created it because I wanted to give caregivers and just people in general a low-hanging grasp way to infuse self-care into their daily life. And I don't know about you, Susie, but I had found that a lot of caregivers lose themselves completely. Like they don't even know what their interests are anymore. They don't know what their dreams are. They don't even know what their favorite color is. Like, there's just so much focus has been put on other people. And so these have 365 daily prompts in it that just kind of get your brain thinking, what is something you do that makes you feel confident or invincible? You spend most of your time thinking about whatever. And so they're a prompt for every day and plenty of lines where they can write a sentence or a whole paragraph. I don't use mine every day. I pull it, here and there, and I add to it. Sometimes year after year, I look back and I see what I put on a previous year. And then in between the months, there's some fun self-care activity pages, like a self-care word search or a bingo game or a dreams page or a favorite songs list. So things like that. And I love the idea too that everybody's filling out that has the journal potentially on the same prompt on the same day. This united force of self-care makes me smile.
I love that. And at the end of the day, you've memorialized your journey that you can share with other, your family members, because I would do that, because I look back at just, random writings that I put into journals that I never finished, right? And I would say, oh my God, I remember that stage, but I wouldn't have remembered my feelings without looking back at it, And I think it's important, and it's really it's valuable.
Have you ever thought of sharing, or maybe you do on your website or podcast, having people share their parts of their journals to see, what?
I would love that.
If there's any. Yeah, I think it would be really interesting so people could kind of see what other people are going through and see if there's similarities.
Yeah, we do a live, at the end of my podcast, we do a lightning round where I ask my guests some prompts I just pick out. So we can kind of get to know them. You talk about self-care and you talk about caregiving. I want to keep things on the positive note. It's important to me to not just focus on all the, I want to, this is people's lives. Like, we're living this life, and it's a good life.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we always say that the bad is a given. The bad part's a given. Mm-hmm. So why not just find the good, the silver lining, the positive? It's why we refer to our film as a joyous look at Alzheimer's, because why not?
Why not?
What's the alternative?
Yeah.
Reframe it.
What's the alternative?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've looked up every quote
moments.
there is, for the silver lining. The diamonds come from carbon, and it's all those things. But it's true. It really is the gift. And I remember Oprah doing an interview with Elie Wiesel, right? Who
yes,
wrote The Night. That was such a harrowing book, and she said, and what an amazing man, becoming like this professor and just so resilient, Mm-hmm. And she said, what would you say is, and he's seen the horrors of life. You can't see anything worse. And what do you think the definition of happiness is? And he said, happiness was 100% without a doubt helping others. And that is the true happiness that you get. And I didn't understand that. Not that I'm a selfish person, because I love people, but I got that understanding, the clarity of his sentence so much when I leaned into my mom and leaned into that role. And I realized, wow, it's true. Like that, you can't feel any better than if you're lightening someone else's road. It just is. There's nothing better. Just isn't.
I love it. I love that.
Yeah, so it's true. So I want to do a lightning round with you.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So how do you do it? How do you do it?
You'll answer the question, Susie. What activity
I was going to do it with you. I was going to do it with you.
We can do it together. How about that?
We don't have the questions.
Okay, here's a good one. What's the best thing that's happened to you this week?
The best thing that's happened to me this week is, let's see. Well, we had dinner with our star of our podcast, who we only knew through virtual, experience. I got to see him in the flesh and blood. Got to, we got to eat dinner together and break bread, and it was beautiful. It was such an amazing experience.
Yeah, we met his wife.
Yeah.
We had known him since last October,
Yeah.
and we had never met him.
That's amazing.
It was beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great.
Mine was that it's mid-October, and I live in Atlanta. And I got together with some girlfriends, and she has a swimming pool, and we were in our bathing suits and in a swimming pool yesterday. Today is definitely fall, but it was just this little final embrace of summer. Of course, with some cocktails and some chicken wings, and it was delightful.
Nice,
Delightful.
nice. Well, if I ever meet you, I'm going to make you chicken wings that I make that are so amazing.
I like them crispy.
They're really good.
And I want
Crispy.
mostly flats.
Yeah,
Not the drumsticks.
Yeah, you don't need the bones.
No, I gotcha.
Yeah. Mine was that the Dodgers won, and they're going to go and beat your Braves.
I know.
today.
I'm wearing my Braves shirt. I'm ready for the game.
Ooh,
She's
it's
going
on.
to the game
It's
today.
on.
Yes.
She's going. So that's
It's my hot
gonna be
date with my
fantastic.
hubby tonight.
Woohoo!
Okay, here's another question for y'all. What activity did you do as a child that brought you great joy?
Dancing.
I'm going to say, go ahead, Suze.
that's
dancing.
it, done, dancing.
Yeah. Which you've never stopped.
Yeah.
You've never stopped.
Well, I was going to say a lot of times it's a good question to ask people when they don't know what to do now to find joy. It's like, well, what did you do, when you were 10? For me, it was riding bikes in my little small town. Like, we would go ride bikes. And so I infuse a little bit of that now with my Peloton bike. I can get that because I can't really get out and ride around very easily where I live. So it's, that's how I explore that. How about you, Dawn?
I had a little portable tape recorder, and I used to record my own comedy shows and radio shows. I'd just by myself and do all the voices and sit there with a record player next to me and so I have a laugh track. I'd had an old comedy record that had an audience on it, and every time I'd tell a joke, I'd put the needle on it, and they heard ha 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 ha, and I'd pull it off. And I'm still doing the same thing today.
We want to hear the ones from way back, though. I would.
Oh, you do not. I literally, when I hear them, my toes actually curl and touch my heels. They're so horrible.
But Don is a great, he does great voices, and so you know where it came from, because he always has been that way. And I think we are born producers. We're best friends. We met each other 1,000 years ago, and I was planning big parties when I was 8 years old. So I was planning parties for my friends. I got this. I'm going to McDonald's. I rented the juice thing, the frosty thing. I was I was always doing it was Lucy at 8.
She's producing.
You love a good theme, I think. Theme party?
A theme.
Oh, they're so fun.
Love a good theme party. Yes, you're my girl. You're my girl. Do you like a theme party?
Yes. Yeah, my husband, my husband's Jewish and I am Christian, but he's always the one that's thinking of the holiday theme party we do a white elephant party with our friends, and hilarious. And we didn't have one last year, but we are doing one this year. We've done, I think, plaid. We've done dress as your favorite holiday character. We've done candy canes, so we love to dress up and have theme parties around that.
That's fantastic.
Awesome.
I want to be your friend. I want to come and dress like a candy cane and
Come
and
on.
Yeah, people don't do that in LA.
Susie, you have family in Atlanta, Susie.
I do have family in Atlanta.
Oh, you've got to look me up next time you come, for sure.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Count on it.
I'm in.
Okay.
I mean, if there's been many gifts from caregiving, and you'd mentioned that this has been the best and the worst time of your life, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. And people are like, what? But it's meeting like people like y'all and the guests that I've had on my podcast, and like best thing ever. So
yes, I agree. And it's opened the world up for us. Like I have friends all over the world that I haven't even sat in a room with, but I love them like family. Right? From meeting them in the community and having
from the film,
and I'm blessing of having social media and the ability to talk virtually to people like this. This is it's a gift.
I get it.
So I love it. I love it to bits too. It's really it's I wouldn't have traded either. It's my whole life is better for it. Right?
Exactly.
Poor Dawn though. Poor Don's had to put up with me as a friend.
Just dragged right along.
Whether he likes it or not.
But it's changed my perspective on just going with
the flow.
With Susie to visit her mom in the care facilities. The fear that I had that walking in there the first time, and not wanting to be there, and being surrounded by what you think are, these people are crazy or they're something. And you find out they're just people, and they're just in a different state, and they just want love, and they just want connection. And if nothing else as a caregiver, if you could just give love and connection, you're halfway there. You're more than
you're
halfway
winning.
there.
Yes.
So
Yep. What are you working on now, Elizabeth?
Well, I'm trying to monetize this business. So I do speaking with different employers that have employee resource groups. That's a big thing because I think employers are finally getting it, that they need to support their working caregivers. I also am working on a video course, and I do a lot of content partnerships with different companies that are trying to, what I love to see is people are having products and services to help family caregivers, and I want to help amplify them because it's a win-win. Like I help you, you help me, and we can all be stronger together. So I have I'll never be bored for sure. Like I've got a lot of ideas always brewing. Lots of Trello boards with ideas. I to quiet my brain, I got to park it somewhere.
I see that. I feel that from you. What's your sign?
Cancer.
You are Cancer.
I hate my sign name. I want to rebrand it. Well, I want to rebrand it.
I know, it's a bad sign name.
Yes.
Yeah. My brother's a Cancer
but
also.
Cancers are so...
I've never liked it.
Emotional, moody. Yeah,
but also
that's me.
Family-oriented, loyal, and I was married. My first husband was Cancer, so I know that. Yeah. And you're right, all that. I would have said, I bet you have a lot of Virgo in you, too. I have a lot of Virgo in me, but I'm a Leo. But my sun sign is a Leo, but everything else is Virgo, which is very, structured, and I make sure I get stuff done. But
I love to GSD, get stuff done. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm like, come on, everybody, let's get stuff done. Let's go. So.
In order to do, I want to work hard, play hard. Like I want to play. And I feel like if I'm more organized and structured, I'm going to have more time for all of the good stuff. That's how I rationalize it in my brain. But I do have to intentionally, like, I can always be doing something, and I have to coach myself. It's okay to just sit and do nothing. It's okay to do that.
Okay, Suze, can you listen to this?
I don't have it down. I'm working on it.
I cannot tell you. It's like there's times you just have to shut down. You have to. She does not understand that concept. Mm-hmm. I'm like, wait, we're going to sit down and watch something. You don't have to have your laptop and your phone also right on your lap. You can maybe just sit down and watch something. But that's not how she operates. And, I love shutting down, in fact.
Well, it's a good show to practice that on, important. Susie. If you haven't watched it yet, is Game of Thrones. You got to pay attention.
Oh, we've done.
Oh, done that.
We binged it. We literally binged all 8 seasons. We binged all 8 seasons over like 2 months.
Oh no, that was
like 8 weeks. We got a
yeah. And then I did.
Outlander.
Oh, fan! I'm a fan.
Oh my God, Jamie!
Such a fan.
Can we talk about Jamie, please?
I loved it. I couldn't get into the books, but I'm into the series.
Well,
the books are a
series,
big
yeah,
commitment.
I binged that. I
Yeah.
binged that like
So
crazy,
fun.
and I think they're doing another season, so I'm looking forward to it. But
So, is there anything that we haven't covered that you want to cover or say, or anything that you just kind of want to leave us with?
I mean, I think we covered a lot of ground, and we could obviously talk for days. But I would say if people want to connect and they want to learn more about the Happy Healthy Caregiver podcast, the coaching services, the book, happyhealthycaregiver.com. Check it out.
definitely check it out. I love this
Absolutely.
woman. I'm definitely
Thank
partnering
you.
with you. I do.
Yes.
I don't just say that. I do. Well, I guess we should wrap this up, Dawn. What do we always say at the end of every show?
We say something that's so true, and that is, love is powerful, love is contagious, and love conquers alls. And we're so happy you were able to join us today. Thank you again, and thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. This has been so fun. Thanks all.
Aw, thank you. If you enjoyed this episode of Love Conquers Alls, please subscribe and rate and share with someone else who may need the information that we provide.